I said we were going to go to balanced and unbalanced, but are we going to yet?
No.
We just talked about contact forces, force where there has to be contact for it. There are non-contact forces too. So pushes and pulls that happen without there being any contact, right? So non-contact forces. Right here we see an example of what? A magnet. Do you have to be in contact with that magnet for that magnet to attract something? No, you can be away from it and it'll start to pull. We'll actually get into that in another unit. Kyler, close up your notebook. And we'll see some different examples of that, and we'll see over here two others, electricity and gravity. So not all forces are contact forces. The most common ones are contact forces. Some forces can act on an object without touching it, right? Put it away. These forces are non-contact forces. Magnetism, electricity, and gravity are examples of non-contact forces. Turn and tell your neighbor the three non-contact forces we just mentioned.
Electricity, gravity, and
Three, two, one. We have magnetism. We have
electricity.
We have
gravity.
So I'm going to go ahead and find my first bold word, magnetism, and we're going to read about magnetism. Have you ever used a magnet?
Yes.
What did you notice when you used that magnet? Brock?
If it's metal and it comes to
Fabulous. Good observation. When you bring two magnets near each other, they can attract or pull towards each other. So magnets can attract or
pull.
Or they can also repel or push away. So magnets can pull and they can
Push away.
So they have both. Magnets do not have to touch to attract or repel each other. The force that causes magnets to attract or repel is called magnetic force. What is it called?
Magnetic force.
A magnet is an object with a magnetic force. And over here we see a paper clip contains iron. A magnet can pull metal paper clips without touching it. Magnets do not affect only each other. They also attract objects made of certain metals such as iron. Magnets cannot attract objects made of wood, glass, plastic, or rubber. Magnets can also apply magnetic force through other materials. They can attract or repel objects through solid, liquid, or gases. This is good background to build because we're going to come back to magnets later in the year, okay? And then up here, our next one we're going to look at is objects can have electrical charge. Electrical charge causes electrical force, which is a non-contact force. If two electrical charges that are alike are brought near each other, the charges repel each other. If two charges are different, they attract each other. Look at the girl in this picture. Each hair on her head is the same electrical charge. The like-charged hairs repel each other. Again, we're going to come back to electrical force later this year as well, and we're going to talk about electricity, and we're going to be doing some of these same experiments. Yes?
It's kind of like when you use a balloon.
Yeah, right? And I think that's what maybe she did. Electricity charges in the girl's hair do not have to touch to affect each other. And the last one we're going to look at is gravity. And I think this one's really interesting because gravity lets us know that there is a force taking place. So this is probably the biggest one I want you to take away. Gravity is another non-contact force. Gravity is a pulling force between two objects. Gravity pulls objects. What does gravity do?
Pull objects.
So even though we cannot see, we cannot feel, we cannot touch gravity, it is pulling objects, such as you to Earth. Gravity is what keeps you on Earth. So is there force happening in our classroom right now?
Yes.
Is there force happening to me right now?
Yes.
What's happening to me? What force is happening? Cooper.
The gravity is keeping me on the floor.
Yeah, the gravity is keeping me on the floor. Through which force? A push or a pull?
Push.
Gravity is pulling. It's like it's down below us and it's grabbing us down to it all the time. I take my marker and am I pushing the marker down? No, I'm not going to push it down. I'd be throwing it anyway. What's taking my marker to the ground?
Gravity.
It is
Gravity.
pulling it in. That's gravity. When you jump up, Earth's gravity pulls you down. Everybody try it. Stand up. Oh, Haley, just listen for a little bit. Stand up and jump. What pulled you back down?
Gravity.
Do it one more time. Stand up and jump. What pulled you back down?
Gravity.
Have a seat. Is gravity a push or a pull?
Pull.
The force of gravity between two objects depends on how much mass the objects have and the distance between the objects. Objects with more mass have a stronger pull. So if it weighs more, it has a stronger pull. For example, the mass of Earth is huge. Its gravity pulls strongly on all objects. Earth's gravity is what keeps us on the ground. Gravity is also stronger when objects are closer together. Gravity is pulling these skydivers towards Earth. And over here, some of the trains run on magnets that repel them from the tracks to produce little friction so that they can go very fast. Charlie.
If the skydivers were diving out of that, and they start on fire.
No? Haley, what was your question, dear?
It was.
Okay, so what I want you to do is we're going to do a stand up and move around. And right before we move on to our next piece, I want you to talk with your neighbor about examples of contact forces, example of non-contact forces. So two things you're talking about. Examples of
Contact forces.
and examples of
Non-contact forces.
contact forces and non-contact forces. Go and have a partner talk, anyone in the room, about examples of those things.